Alright guys, so in this video, I'm going to be talking about Rob Manfred coming out yesterday and apologizing to Oakland A's fans, talking about the move to Vegas, what's going to be happening. He's talking about, where they could potentially be playing in 2025, along with a few other things, including different name ideas. Now, we do expect Las Vegas to be named the Athletics. They're going to keep the same name, but there are other ideas out there. This first article from the AP, Manfred sorry for Oakland fans. A's can compete in Vegas. And then he says, I feel sorry for fans in Oakland. I really do. But for the city of Oakland to point fingers at John Fisher, it's not fair. So people aren't going to like that. Oakland fans hate John Fisher right now. It seems very... Now, see, I'm going to be fair to everyone when I talk about this because there's a few angles to look at. Number one, yes, this is really bad what John Fisher did. I mean, he purposefully made the team horrifically bad, killed the attendance over the past 2 seasons, which really enabled a potential move to Vegas. But you also have to understand, even when Oakland was really good back in like 2012, 2013, they were still in the bottom tier of attendance. But then we also have to be fair to A's fans and say the Coliseum has been a multi-purpose massive dump for the past 20 years. It's been one of the worst stadiums in the MLB since they put in Mount Davis. So there's multiple things at play. And the question for John Fisher ended up becoming, would it make sense? Would the attendance improve enough if we went with the Howard Terminal idea or the ideas in, 2010, 2011 with all the different stadiums? Or would it make more sense just to move to Vegas and your overall team value is very likely going to go up? Obviously, you're going to have to win. You can't lose 100 games in Vegas and get, your team value to rise exponentially, but it should help. So there's multiple ways to look at this, but obviously Manfred's going to come out and go to bat for his billion-dollar owner. That's not surprising. We have shown an unbelievable commitment to the fans in Oakland by exhausting every possible opportunity to try and get something done in Oakland. Unfortunately, the government doesn't seem to have the will to get it done. It just seems like at a certain point, John Fisher packed it up and said, you know what? We're going to tank this team. We're going to make it as miserable as possible. And that's when the A's attendance got really bad, really after the pandemic. And then in 2021, 2022, they started having those games where they drew like 4,000 or 5,000. But yes, Oakland's been towards the bottom of attendance for, a while now. And some of that might be the fans, the lack of support. Some of that might be the stadium. It's tough to gauge really who overwhelmingly is to blame, but it does seem like at a certain point, John Fisher said, I'm just done with it, and I'm going to force the move by making this team terrible. That's what it seems like. The A's will work with Nevada and Clark County on a public-private partnership to fund the new stadium, which should cost $1.5 billion, they're saying, by the way, and of course, the capacity being around 30,000. They will probably be breaking ground next year and opening in 2027. Manfred said there were still a few key obstacles that they had to overcome to get this done. But guys, this is happening. All of this would not be public if this was not happening. So all of that, whatever they have to do to make the move finalized, it's all anecdotal. And it's really just like crossing a few boxes and things like that and sorting out certain funds. It says the timeline for Oakland's move remains unclear. The A's lease at the Coliseum expires after 2024, and there has been discussion of the A's temporarily playing at the home of their AAA affiliate. The Aviators, Manfred said he did believe it is feasible schedule-wise to have the A's and their top minor league team share a ballpark. That is by far the most realistic option when it comes to where the A's will be playing, probably in both 2025 and 2026. And Manfred basically just repeating what I've been kind of speculating at. That's where they're going to be playing in my opinion. Their attendance has never been outstanding, let's put it that way. So Manfred talking about trying to justify the move, saying the A's have had really bad attendance. Yes, it is true. Even when they were competitive, their attendance was not good. But again, it's a multi-purpose dump. It's hard to really point fingers when you're playing at what is considered the worst stadium in the MLB for the last 2 decades. To me, it ought to be all positive on the competitive front. He added, you got really smart baseball operations people, you got owners that want to win, and I think Vegas will present a real revenue enhancing opportunity, so I think you're going to have a good product. Well, you can't have a worse product than what we're seeing this year, that's for sure. I mean, my goodness, they're purposefully cutting payroll and trading all their good players for virtually nothing. I mean, the prospects they got back weren't even that good, so it really can't get worse from a competitive standpoint. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of money. Fisher's going to invest more into the overall payroll when they get to Vegas because he's going to want that team to be worth more money. Manfred has previously said that the expansion to 32 teams will be a serious consideration once the A's and Tampa Bay Rays resolve their long-running stadium woes. He said Monday that he is hopeful about the Rays finding a resolution that keeps them in Tampa. So yeah, basically just reiterating what I had already said over the past few videos. We do expect the Rays to stay within the Tampa area and get a new stadium that probably seats around 30K. I would guess that's going to be the major announcement. Or if you consider, the actual stadium and the renderings a major announcement, I think the next thing we get is probably the new renderings of the Las Vegas stadium. But after that, the news should come out that the Rays are probably staying in Tampa. They're going to find somewhere, either that or they're moving to Nashville. To me, it's one or two of those things. Several cities have already begun planning for potential bids to add teams. Nashville, Charlotte, Montreal, Portland, and Salt Lake City. Manfred acknowledged that Nashville is on everybody's list. So, him saying that, Nashville has got to be a runaway to get an expansion team at this point. They've been number one for me for a while now, just in terms of my predictions. And then he also said that while he's eager to grow the game in Mexico, but he's never been close to the idea of Mexico as an expansion opportunity. Well, Mexico's a little bit tricky, especially Mexico City. I believe it's like a crazy high altitude, almost higher than Coors Field, or it actually might be higher than Coors. I know when the NFL teams play in Mexico City, it's really bad in terms of oxygen and air. So, that probably would almost, like, if you're going to have a place that's more offense than Coors, that's almost like a non-competitive environment at that point. Let's be honest. This is someone on Twitter. Rob Manfred says, don't point the fingers at John Fisher because the government doesn't have the will to get things done, but the Niners, Warriors, and Giants all got stadiums built using private money, so you literally have to point fingers at the Gap Kid John Fisher. Yeah, I mean, you also have to understand it's a little bit different markets. You're talking about San Francisco, and then the Warriors are just a different entity in and of itself, because you could say, well, Warriors are an Oakland-based team, but the Warriors have just their team value with Steph Curry. I mean, that dude has basically raised their overall value of that team by like $1 billion by himself. I mean, that team's listen, if the Oakland A's had gone to like 4 straight World Series in like from 2013 to 2017, they would have had a new stadium by now, for sure. So I don't really think you can compare it to the Warriors. And then the Giants and Niners are both San Francisco-based teams. So I understand what he's saying. Again, I think behind the scenes, it was a situation where like they knew even when Oakland was good, they probably weren't going to draw. And you either take the risk of building a new stadium, whether it's at Howard Terminal or wherever in Oakland, you take that risk, you're going to get better attendance immediately because it's a new stadium, but at what point does that new car shine wear off and the attendance goes back down, as opposed to moving to Vegas, getting a brand new $1 billion stadium and really investing into that team and taking advantage of all the gambling, taking advantage of all the tourism, and kind of jazzing up the MLB. Certainly, I think if I was the MLB commissioner, I mean, I would have wanted a team in Vegas when the NFL did it. It's just been such a slam dunk move by the NFL to get a team into Vegas, moving from Oakland. So this just seems like they're kind of following in the NFL's shadow at this point with what they're doing. And then we do have the new name odds for the Vegas team. Kind of surprised me the Athletics were only minus 240, considering their president came out and said, the name is going to stay. I don't know if it's been completely confirmed yet, but it seems like the Athletics should be more of a favorite than minus 240. Of course, I wouldn't get all giddy and go place a $1,000 bet on it, because anytime you have weird prop bets like this, they put the limit to like $50 you can bet. So either way, you can see Athletics minus 240. How about the Blackjacks plus 1,600? What would it be? Las Vegas Blackjacks? I think that'd be pretty cool. Like a black and, well, I don't know if you could do black and gold because that's the Steelers. Black and white would be pretty sweet. For Vegas, that'd be cool. I do think they should incorporate the color gold. Las Vegas Venom. That name sounds kind of almost too WNBA. Vipers, I don't like the Vipers. I think the name Neon is really cool. I like that name. Dust Devils, that's decent. High Rollers, that sounds like a minor league team. Coyotes, that's an NHL. You're not doing that. The 21s. I actually would like that, dude. It's so weird. The 21s. Snake Eyes, that's a minor league team. Silver, Las Vegas Silver. I don't know about that. Sea Titans, that's minor league. Outlaws, that's too kiddish. Desert Storm, that's pretty sweet, I'm not going to lie. Plus 2,800 for the Desert Storm. So I thought that was cool. Some different names. It would be cool to see if they got a new name and rebranded, if I'm going to be completely honest. But I don't mind the Athletics name. I don't think it's a bad name. But could you imagine if they rebranded to one of those and came out with like brand new logos and colors and things like that? And then how about this? The Giants and Padres will be playing a 2-game series in Mexico City. And see, this is the problem. I didn't even read this, but yes, this makes sense now. Mexico City, it's 7,000 feet above sea level, 2,000 more feet than Coors Field. Bro, if I am a Giants starting pitcher and I'm scheduled to start one of these games, dude, you have to fake the flu. There is no way I am pitching an MLB game as a starter and sacrificing my ERA, pitching in a ballpark that is 2,000 feet higher than Coors Field. Remember when they had that London game and they juiced the hell out of the balls? What was it, the Yankees, Red Sox? And both the games were like 18-14. You got to feel bad for those starting pitchers. But this will actually be really interesting. I'm kind of mad it's only a 2-game series. They do it so the teams can have travel days and stuff like that, so they make them shorter series. But I want to see like a crazy high-scoring game with 12 home runs. I mean, it should be a really high-scoring game, dude, if that's the altitude of over 7,000 feet above sea level in Mexico City. This game is happening, I think, either Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday when this series is. So I guess we'll get a little experiment here if they want to have a team in Mexico City. There's no way they could have a team. It's impossible. I mean, Coors Field, think about the Rockies. The Rockies, yes, they have a bad front office. I understand that. But they legitimately cannot develop young pitching. You cannot develop young pitching in Coors Field. It kills those kids' confidence. Any one of them. It's just such a hitter's park. It is so crazy. And this will be fun to see how many runs are actually scored in that game. But that's just kind of the overall situation on Oakland. And then we also do have this. How about this one? The A's are working with the Boring Company and expect to have an underground tunnel stop built for their new stadium in Vegas. This is kind of like the future when it comes to trying to mitigate traffic. They're building underground tunnels that will really help with traffic flow in bigger cities, and this is just another way for them to do it. Mostly those tunnels are only for Teslas, so it'll be interesting to see what happens when it comes to that. But I do think the next evolution when it comes to dealing with these major cities is actually building under and having underground tunnels, giving you more passageways throughout cities. And it's going to really help mitigate the major traffic concerns we've seen and problems we've seen when you're talking about those freeways. We all know the viral pictures when it comes to around like Thanksgiving, Christmas. That's all probably going to go away within 15 to 20 years when these tunnel systems get set up. You're just going to go into a tunnel. It's going to be one way, and it's going to take you from point A to point B through the city. And you're going to really have multiple ways to go in and out of these major cities when it comes to the overall traffic flow. So this will be something that's interesting that should help when it comes to dealing with all the traffic that Vegas will be getting with this new stadium and just in general with all the tourism. But guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.